Hey folks, welcome again to one of the most enthralling, exciting, enlightening and entertaining session of Science Scamper for classes 6 to 8 by EduCatUp, and I am your super science teacher Ambika. At EduCatUp, we always empower all our students as how to think and not what to think. So if you want to experience the same, it's the right time to subscribe to the EduCatUp's YouTube channel. The subscription button is just given below, guys. If you like our video, don't forget to press the like button and ensure to hit the bell icon to get all the latest updates from EduCatUp. Now let's start today's session, and the topic for the day is motion and time. Yes, and they both goes in a synchronization way, because when we are moving, time is also going on. So motion and time, how they are interconnected, how they are related to each other, and what are they exactly. We are going to cover these aspects in this module. Now let's see the topics which we are going to cover. That is motion, slow or fast, speed, measurement of time, clocks or watches, units of time and speed, instruments for measuring time, and distance time graphs. Now without any further delay, let's start this interesting session. Okay, motion, slow or fast. Basically, what do we mean by motion? When a body is changing its position from one point to another, it is in motion. Now, that means any movement from one particular place to another particular place, or from one particular point to another particular point, when a body is moving, then it is in motion. Then what is happening? Motion is happening. Now, motion can be fast also and slow also. These are relative terms. Now, how we can decide whether a body is moving fast or slow? For example, just behind me on the screen, you can see few examples. A person's motion and a bicycle's motion, a car's motion and a train's motion. Now, if I ask, well, who do you think will go at a greater speed, the car or the man? The answer will come car. Obviously, a car moves faster in comparison to a human being, maybe walking, running, jogging. But how we have decided that which object or which body is showing a slow motion and which body is showing a fast motion? The parameter which decides that whether a motion is slow or fast is speed, isn't it? We obviously always observe the speed of the object, the speed of the body. Whether it is moving fast, that means the speed is high. If it is moving slow, that means the speed is low. So speed determines how fast or slow an object or a body is moving. It is measured as distance traveled per unit time. You know the formula for speed, and that is distance upon time. It shows that whatever distance you are covering divided by whatever time have you taken, that gives you the speed. Now, distance can be calculated speed multiplied by time. Time can be calculated distance divided by speed. So, in this way, you can calculate all these three parameters. You should also know one more thing which is important in solving the numericals, that is average speed, which is the total distance traveled upon total time taken. So, these formulas are something which are really very important, and speed is the parameter which decides whether a body is moving fast or slow. Fast, slow. Now let's move ahead. Action packed info, guys, something very interesting for you, and you should know this. Action pack info, guys, something very important for you, and you should know this. We are talking about a handheld speed checker. That's a very important device used by the traffic police department. It transmits radio waves which bounce back when they fall on a moving car. If the car is moving towards the instrument, then wavelength of the returning radio waves is higher. Action packed info, guys, something very important for you, and it's really a boon to know. We are going to talk about a handheld speed checker which transmits radio waves which bounces back when they fall on a moving car. If the car is moving towards the instrument, the wavelength of the instrument of the returning radio waves is shorter. The faster the car is moving, the greater is the change. The instrument gives an instant digital readout. It is used by traffic policemen to catch overspeeding drivers. Isn't it something very good and useful kind of an object? A kind of a useful device, because it transmits radio waves. The radio waves strike with the vehicles, and if they are moving at a higher speed, the frequency is shorter. So they get to know if the frequency is shorter, the vehicle is moving at a higher speed, and they can ask the person to slow down the speed, can catch them to avoid accidents. Very useful device. Now let's move ahead. Again, some action-packed info for you all. An odometer measures the distance traveled by a vehicle, and a speedometer shows at what speed the vehicle is moving. Both these meters are present in every vehicle which runs on a fuel. So, or any fuel, CNG, petrol, diesel, electricity, on whichever fuel. And both these things are very important because it shows us that at what speed we are going. So, whether the motion of our body, that means of our vehicle, is slow or fast, and how much distance have we traveled. So, both the things are very important. Now, measurement of time. How we can measure time? Now you will tell me, ma'am, we can easily measure time by looking at the watch, by looking at the clock, isn't it? But earlier, when there were no such inventions, when watches and clocks have not been invented, then how people used to measure time? People used to measure time by keeping the record of periodic events. Now, what are periodic events? Periodic events means the events which takes place after a particular interval of time. By looking to them, people used to calculate time. Like for example, setting of the sun, rising of the sun, breaking of sea waves on the shore. Because there is a certain pattern. A sea wave comes, it strikes with the shore, it breaks down. Then after a few seconds, again comes. So that few seconds measurement is done by looking at them. Setting of the sun, that means evening is over now, night is coming. Rising of the sun, morning is there. So, calculation of day. The time between one sunrise and the next was calculated as a day. That means आज सुबह सूरज उगा है, अब जब कल सुबह उगेगा, यहाँ से लेके वहाँ तक कितना हुआ? 1 day, 24 hours. A month was measured from one new moon to the next. What is new moon? Amavasya in Hindi. So, Amavasya, एक अमावस्या से लेके दूसरी अमावस्या तक, that completes 1 month. A year was fixed as the time taken by the earth to complete one revolution around the sun. So, that is how when watches and clocks have not been invented, people used to calculate the time. Let's move ahead. Clocks or watches, something which is very much in your time, in my time, and we use them. Right now, I am also wearing a watch. So, clocks or watches are perhaps the most common time measuring devices. All of them make use of very simple periodic motion, okay, and that is the motion of a simple pendulum. Most of the watches and clocks are based on this particular thing. We need to understand it. Already you people are aware. This is a pendulum. A pendulum is something which is suspended with a thread. A bob is there. This is a bob, isn't it? So, what happens when you push this bob? It will go like this. It will come. It will go like this. Again like this. So, B to C, C to A, A to B. This makes one particular motion. So, like this, it goes and completes that one circulation, and the time taken to complete that one complete circulation from the extreme to the mean position is the time period. So basically clocks and watches are based on this time period. Alright, let's move ahead. Action-packed info, guys. Again, something very interesting for you. Motion is of two types, non-uniform motion and uniform motion. When the speed of a moving object changes continuously, then it is a non-uniform motion. And when the speed of a moving object remains same throughout the motion, then it is a uniform motion. Now, you tell me, when you are going over somewhere, the vehicles are showing uniform motion or non-uniform motion? Obviously non-uniform motion, because the speed changes according to the traffic, according to the availability of the road, according to the people moving side by side. if your dad is driving, he doesn't keep the speed static to 60 km per hour or 80 km per hour. It maybe goes to even 20, it maybe even goes to 100, it maybe even goes to 45, 55, 60, depending upon where you have to reach, what time you have to reach, how much traffic is there. So depending on everything and the safety parameter. So basically we always see non-uniform motion. Uniform motion is very difficult to do because you have to maintain a static speed throughout the motion. Alright? Okay. Now in case of a uniform motion, you always get a straight line graph because it's a constant speed. In case of non-uniform motion, you will not get a uniform graph. It will be in a different shape because the speed is changing continuously. Now let's move ahead. Units of time and speed. Now, basically for time, the basic unit is second. It is denoted by small s. Larger units of time are minutes and hour. The basic unit of speed is meter per second, and it can also be calculated in kilometer per hour or meter per minute. Okay, always the symbols for time and you can say speed are always written in small alphabets. Nothing is written in capitals. Alright, even all units are written in small alphabets. Action-packed info. For you, this video is totally a boon. Okay, now let's see what it is. The smallest time interval that can be measured with commonly available clocks and watches is 1 second. However, now special clocks are available that can measure time intervals smaller than a second. Generally, a normal watch or a clock can measure the smallest time difference, that is of 1 second. But now we have watches or clocks which can even measure a time difference which is less than 1 second. Some of these clocks can measure time intervals as small as 1 millionth or even 1 billionth of a second. You might have heard the terms like microsecond and nanosecond. 1 microsecond is 1 millionth of a second, a nanosecond is 1 billionth of a second. Clocks that measure such small time intervals are used for scientific research. The time measuring devices used in sports can measure time intervals that are 1/10 or 1/100th of a second. On the other hand, times of historical events are stated in terms of centuries or millenniums. The ages of stars and planets are often expressed in billions of years. So you can see time varies according to the event. You are aware that these normal watches or clocks at your home, they can show us a time difference as small as of 1 second. But we even have watches, we can even show the time difference of a 1 microsecond, that is 1/100th of a second, and of a nanosecond which is 1 billionth of a second. एक सेकेंड का जब 1 बिलियंथ पार्ट हुआ है वो उसको भी शो कर देंगी. So those watches and clocks are much more, you can say, technologically advanced, tech savvy. Alright, now let's move ahead. Instruments for measuring time. Different instruments can be used, like we have sand clock or hourglass. Just like a timer you use in many games, you reverse it, you turn it, and the sand will start pouring to the other side. Now it depends, it usually takes 1 hour. It also depends on the size of the sand clock or hour clock and the kind of sand it has, the amount of sand it has, but generally it is kept 1 hour, otherwise 60 seconds, 45 seconds, depending for what reason it has been made. Then water clock, as you can see picture behind me, water clock is something which was used earlier. Water was filled in the cone shape kind of a thing, and drop by drop water used to pour in the other one container. Then you have sundial, which can also be seen in Jantar Mantar at New Delhi, in Jaipur as well. So sundial is something which shows you know, the shadow. I'll explain you how it works. You can see this is a sundial. It has this rectangular piece attached to it which is called gnome, and it has dial. Dial means the time is mentioned. Now according to the sunlight falling over it, the shadow of the gnome is formed, and it is formed according to the time. यानी जब दिन के 12 बजे होंगे तो gnome का जो shadow है वो 12 पे होगा, जब 1 बजेगा तो 1 पे आएगा, when it will be 3 it will be on number 3. So like that. So with the help of sundial one can get to know the time by forming the shadow of gnome which is through sunlight. So that is how it works. Let's move ahead. Again action packed info, guys. Chronometer. Chronometer is a specialized clock capable of measuring time to a fraction of a trillionth of a second. Amounts to an error of 1 second in every million years. कभी million years में कोई error आता है and it can, calculate or capable of measuring time fraction of a trillionth of a second. Just imagine the accuracy and the kind of technological advancement we have got these days. Really a boon. Now, distance time graphs, you need to understand time is always mentioned on the x-axis, which is this, and distance on y-axis, which is this. Always. When a uniform speed is there, uniform motion, it will be a straight line graph. When the object is not moving, it's a horizontal straight line, and non-uniform motion, it can be any shape. Alright? Basically, a steep line indicates a fast speed, a shallow graph indicates a slow speed, and a flat line indicates that the object is not moving, it is at rest. So, by looking at the graph, you can, predict the motion and the speed both. Let's move ahead. Alright, so with this we have come to the end of this motion and time session. I hope you all have subscribed to the Educatips YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, do it right now guys. I know you all have loved our video, so time to press the like button. And for your super science teacher Ambika, it's time to sign out for the day. Till the time we meet again, be happy, be safe and keep enriching yourself with Educatip. Bye-bye.